The new moon in Scorpio on Thursday, November 20th has the power to shock you, reveal secrets, and bring transformative death and rebirth moments as it conjoins Mercury Cazimi. This is a very rare and exciting new moon, and I'm here to break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western Hellenistic astrologer specializing in doing readings, teaching astrology classes, and creating products that can improve your life, magical astrological products. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy my work. And if you do enjoy my work, please support me by leaving me a like, a comment, subscribing, pressing the notification bell. You can hype my video, apparently. You get like 3 hypes per week. And it's free to do, and it helps show my content to more people. Watching more of my videos does the same. You can also say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, a croissant, whatever your heart desires. Before we dive in, I am currently running an early Black Friday sale between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off of all of my products with the coupon code in the description. It's a single word, lowercase, early BF20, gives you 20% off my planner, for example. This is my 2026 planner. It has 227 pages filled with guides, insights about monthly astrology, insights about new and full moons, eclipses, rituals, suggestions, calendars, positive dates for love, challenging dates, so much more. I've been creating these 3 years in a row because I felt like I needed one for myself, and so I brought it into the world. And I've got Jupiter in Aries, so a lot of times it starts by like, oh, I need this, and then I'm more than happy to share it with you guys. Additionally, in late October, I created 2 more beautiful batches of candles. There is Venus in Libra 4. It smells like honeysuckle jasmine and promotes eloquence, diplomacy, charm, and ease in relationships. Perfect for anyone born with Venus retrograde, or if your natal Venus is in Virgo, Scorpio, or Aries, the signs of fall and detriment. It's decorated with amethyst, rose quartz crystals, and it is perfect for manifesting love. And then there's this beautiful red, I love that I'm matching it right now, Mars in Scorpio candle. Mars only spends about a month and a half every 2 years in Scorpio, so I created Mars Cazimi candles in 2023. And this year I captured Mars in Scorpio in a grand water trine. So this is actually the yang to Venusian yin. This is all about action, courage, dedication, success, setting missions, achieving them, problem solving, reaching your fitness goals. Astrologically, really recommend this to anyone born with their Mars in Cancer, Libra, or Taurus, signs of fall and detriment. If your Mars is retrograde in your chart, and anytime we get Mars retrograde or difficult Mars transits, this is perfect. Thank you for listening. And of course, for those of you who want to talk to me one-on-one, book a reading on my website. And if you want to study astrology, if you want to know how to use astrological transits, solar returns, and annual perfections to predict the future, to forecast the future, join my upcoming course. It begins in March. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys. So the new moon in Scorpio happens on Thursday, November 20th at 28 degrees 11 minutes Scorpio. This means that it's going to be especially important for people with planets between 25 and 29 degrees Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius, our fixed signs. The new moon actually happens at 1:46 a.m. Eastern on Thursday, November 20th. So if you are located in a different time zone, then you should adjust it, because if you're in the States but on the West Coast, it's going to be still November 19th for you. Same goes for like Hawaii. But for us on the East Coast and people in Europe and further away, east, that will be November 20th. So the new moon It's an interesting one. It's a very kind of rare new moon because it coincides with this Cazimi, and it has the power, like I said, to shock you with important revelations. Scorpio doesn't like chill things. Scorpio likes intensity and passion. And so revelations, secrets, conversations that touch your heart and soul are very, very much likely. There's also the sense that the new moon opposes Uranus in Taurus, which is also very shocking and very like, what's gonna happen? So a lot of things are going on around the time of this new moon. But first things first, new moon is new beginnings. In Scorpio, we're talking about new beginnings involving sex and intimacy. We're talking about intuition and connecting with your intuition, connecting with your shamanic gifts, healing powers and ability, right? Letting go of something that doesn't serve you, transforming. Scorpio is also the sign of control, and the shadow side of Scorpio might try to manipulate and control other people, while the higher vibrational Scorpio will be all about gaining control over one's unhappy, unhealthy tendencies. So we have new beginnings with new emotions. The moon is in its fall in Scorpio because Scorpio is this land of feelings, deep, deep feelings. And the moon, of course, likes feelings, right? The moon loves Cancer. The moon rules Cancer. But in Scorpio, there is a bit of like, everything just gets colored darker and lasts longer. So it's a little bit harder for the moon to find stability, right? The moon is exalted in Taurus for a reason, because Taurus knows that there's joy in taking things slow and steady and eating snacks and wrapping yourself in a warm blanket. In Scorpio, there is the opposite is true, right? Like there is a tendency to just like life becomes pain and passion and intensity. And so we will likely feel more deeply. Unless you're born with the moon in Scorpio, then it's going to be a walk in the park for you because you are familiar with this energy. You know how to handle it. You live there, right? So there are a couple of interesting aspects that are happening simultaneously. The first thing is the opposition to Uranus. And so what's interesting is at the time of the new moon, Mercury has just opposed Uranus. And Mercury first opposed Uranus on October 29th, while in Sagittarius, and Uranus was in Gemini. So take a look back, right? Was there some kind of breakthroughs? Were there some kind of breakdowns in conversation, in schedule, in your mind, in your life, right? Because Mercury opposite Uranus right before the new moon definitely suggests some type of intensity, some type of like intellectual sparks, right? It could literally be breakdowns of technology and other like tangible things, but it could also be like breakthroughs in conversation. And then Mercury trines Neptune around like a little bit later, a day before the new moon, and then it conjoins the sun. So the new moon is conjunct Mercury Cazimi. And so after we have some kind of shakeup, some type of challenge to our way of thinking and being, there comes the Cazimi. And Cazimi is the moment of deep insight. Your conversations are extra potent. Your thoughts carry important lessons and messages. The projects, the ideas you're thinking can actually be grown and can turn into something really, really important. So Mercury Cazimi, and what's interesting though, it's the retrograde Mercury Cazimi, right? Mercury is retrograde, so it's moving backwards. So you are experiencing insights, but it's something from the past. It's something that you've been pondering over. It's maybe an idea that got planted in your head, but never fully climaxed, and now let's use Scorpio metaphors, and now you're going after it. You're realizing things, right? You're having a conversation and somebody tells you a secret, your partner shares something that happened to them, and you have a choice to get closer with the person, or you have a choice to walk away if it's something really shocking and dramatic. The new moon also conjoins Venus in Scorpio, so questions around relationships, beauty, fairness, and balance Venus is in her detriment in Scorpio. That is why, again, I would really recommend my Venus in Libra. 2, 3, 4. There's still a couple of 2 left. They look very similar to this one because I am sticking to the tried and true techniques. But yeah, like, you know, relationship focus, again, some kind of intensity. So like, to me, this new moon looks like very, very intense. It's not going to be the chill full moon. Oh, sorry, new moon. Yeah, it's potentially quite dramatic. The ruler of the new moon is Mars in Sagittarius, and the ruler of Mars is the exalted Jupiter. So it's kind of nice to have the wise Jupiter overseeing Mars, and Mars in Sagittarius being focused on adventure and growth and spiritual truth and coherence. So I think that will be something that motivates us to find the way to move forward, right? To find the way to grow through this. And the final aspect that's worth mentioning is we get the Uranus-Neptune sextile right at the time of the new moon. And that is another one that represents spiritual awakening, right? So this new moon has this ability to awaken you to something new and to something important. So very interesting, a very, very interesting new moon. We'll see how it goes. I will break it down for all 12 signs for personal advice. Do book a reading, register for my predictive course, and take advantage of the early Black Friday sale to save 20% off all of my products, and that includes these newest Mars in Scorpio, Venus in Libra, and all of the older ones as well. So definitely take advantage. I also have, you know, Jupiter candles. Those don't last very long, as in like they're selling out, and we also only get Jupiter, exalted Jupiter in Cancer for a year. So it's a rare transit to have in your back pocket. So for the Black Friday sale, there's a coupon code in the description, and it's only between November 10th and 16th. So you have a limited time. If you are an Aries rising, there's a new moon in your 8th house. The new beginnings that involve intimacy, closeness, relating with other people. Right around the time of the new moon, we have Mercury and the moon opposite Uranus in the 2nd house. And Uranus in the 2nd house suggests some shakeups in personal values and finances. And so like, I can see this as potentially, you know, let's talk about like the negative outcome first, right? Like, you lose your job or you lost your job, and the new moon in the 8th is a chance to lean on someone for help, an opportunity to join some kind of like literal resources or emotional resources with a friend, a partner, an ally. A partner says like, I will take care of the rent, I will take care of the bills, don't worry about it, just, you know, take your time to figure things out. There's, of course, that Mercury Cazimi at the same time, so important insights, deep conversations, even insights into like your childhood and being like, why do I need to be so independent? Why am I so scared of relying on other people? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you feel like you've been too dependent on other people and you realize something about that. The happier manifestation maybe has to do with Uranus in the 2nd, bringing some kind of sudden influx of money or sudden source of income, or even a sudden realization around your self-worth and what is of value, what is important to you. And then maybe the new moon in the 8th house is an opportunity to use this chunk of cash to pay off a debt, or use it to maybe disengage from a more challenging toxic relationship dynamic. You may also be realizing things about yourself and having to advocate for yourself, having to talk about things that are uncomfortable. If they don't feel fair, right? It's a really good time to like discuss it. 8th house is the dark house. 8th house has to do with what other people give us, what we give them, what are the conditions of the deal that we're involved in. And so the new moon here is very much the time to address it and maybe renegotiate. Mercury is conjunct the new moon, but it is retrograde, right? So it's like something doesn't feel right, something feels unfair about your relationship, about your loan, about your child support payments, right? Very different kinds of dynamics will be present here. For more, book a reading on my website, join my predictive course. It begins in March, and take advantage of my early Black Friday sale. It only lasts a week between November 10th and 16th, and you can save 20% off of all of my products. That is candles, oils, notebooks, planners. The coupon code is down below. If you are a Taurus rising, there's a new moon, new beginnings in your relationship sector. So new love, a new partner, a new business development, a new client, a new contract, right? But there is a sense of like old becomes new, because there is a Mercury retrograde Cazimi conjunct this new moon. And maybe you're giving an old relationship another chance. Maybe you are renegotiating an existing contract. Maybe you're talking about an old fight you and your partner had, and you're actually realizing how to move forward and how to get closer through it all. The new moon also opposes Uranus, and so does Mercury. And Uranus is in the first house, and in the first house, you know, it's been there since 2018, so it's not a brand new energy, but because it opposes the new moon, it pins your independence and your priorities against your partners and your relationship and what's happening in your relationship. So out of maybe some type of like you can be a disruptor in this new moon. You can be the one who advocates for yourself. The new moon is also conjunct Venus, your chart ruler. So you're maybe being more self-aware, and you're maybe being the one who says like, enough, I don't want to deal with this anymore. You know, the way you never wash the dishes actually bothers me, because my dad never washed the dishes, and my mom and him always fought about it. And so like I've been suppressing my feelings, but maybe it's time for us to talk about it, right? So there might be some kind of important conversations. There may be shocking revelations about yourself and your relationships, right? And your partnerships. But through it all, I think the new moon has the potential to transform you or your life, to bring awakening, transform your relationships, right? And create something more like deep and truthful. So be open and let it do it. For more, visit my website to book a reading, join my predictive astrology course, and my Black Friday sale comes early between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off of all of my products. The coupon code is in the description. If you are a Gemini rising, there's a new moon in your 6th house in opposition to Uranus in the 12th house. So Uranus opposite this new moon suggests some type of disruptions, insights, revelations in your mental health sector. Maybe a realization about something self-defeating, maybe even something you do that is destructive, but you realize how destructive it is. Like you realize that you've been watching horror movies before bed and your sleep has been messed up, right? No wonder. It's like horror movies, unless you're really well adjusted, I would definitely have nightmares if I watched some crazy horror movies. So yeah, realizing that there may be some self-defeating habits that you need to release, and the new moon in the 6th house can bring new routines, new protocols around health, new exercise habits, new problem-solving opportunities, right? There is this conjunction to Mercury retrograde Cazimi, and Mercury is your chart ruler, so it's really important for you. Important conversations around health, important conversations with your doctor maybe, and realization that you need to make some changes. 6th house is also connected to the like people who work for you, your employees. And so sometimes with the new moon in here, there might be also, especially with that Mercury retrograde Cazimi, right? Like maybe you're having to talk to them or set some new protocols in place and rethink something. Yeah, rethinking health, rethinking even your work life. Like there may be a sense of realization that you're stressed mentally because of your overwhelming workload, and how your physical health affects mental health, and mental health affects physical health, and opportunities to gain control over your life by making changes you can make, right? Instead of trying to control other people, try to figure out what you can control and go for it. And for more, book a reading on my website, join my predictive astrology course. It begins in March, and take advantage of my Black Friday sale. It comes early this year, between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off of all of my products with a coupon code in the description. And the link is there too. If you are a Cancer rising, there's a new moon in your 5th house. It brings new beginnings in love, sex, children, parenthood, joy, and pleasure. 5th house is your pool of creative energy and your childlike enthusiasm, right? And so the new moon here encourages you to start new relationships, to start new creative projects, to spend more time with your child, become a parent, welcome more vulnerability and intimacy, maybe change something in your sex life, right? And with the 5th house, we're talking about sex and relationships that are more like sexual than necessarily long lasting. But it could be, this new moon could be the time when you transition from a sexual, like sort of non-committal relationship to being more committed and making things official. There is an opposition to Uranus in the 11th house. So you're kind of having to deal maybe with shakeups, disruptions, news that are, or like things that shake you up that are happening with your friends, or maybe in your social network, or maybe even some people's judgments of you and your choices, right? Like having to break away from that, having to maybe balance some things if you have to balance it, right? Like it can also be like the parents in the school want everyone to wear a uniform and your child is against it. And so it's like you're going against the parents in advocating for what is important to you and your child. There is a conjunction to Mercury Cazimi and retrograde at the time of the new moon. So that offers this sort of introspective, deep conversations, shocking secrets, revelations type of energy. Your child tells you about something they've done and you're like, oh wow, this is really shocking and surprising. And maybe it helps you, it like makes you see your child in a different light, but it also leads to more truthful relationship and more acceptance and understanding. The retrograde might also suggest someone from your past coming into your life and new beginnings, new old beginnings, right? Like new beginnings in a relationship with someone you once has been with. It could be a very passionate new moon. It could be very, very interesting. Avoid trying to manipulate other people, right? Avoid trying to make other people be someone who they're not, and try to focus on like self-control and self-transformation. And for more, visit my website to book a reading or join my predictive astrology course and take advantage of my early Black Friday sale between November 10th and 16th and save 20% off of all of my products. If you are a Leo rising, the new moon is happening in your 4th house, bringing new beginnings to your living situation, to your family life, to your parents' lives, and to your home. Maybe you're moving, maybe you're renovating, maybe you're welcoming a new family member. There is an opposition to Uranus in the 10th, and Uranus in the 10th really suggests like some kind of liberation. So quitting a difficult job and having to move in with your parents, right, is one type of manifestation of this. Or finding a job in a different country and having to move because of that, right? There is some type of like illuminating shakeup that can offer opportunities to like transform and change your home and living situation. There might also be interesting conversations and reflection on the past, reflection on your childhood, the relationship of your parents and how all of that affected you. Maybe even some shocking secrets that come out with your family telling you things, right? Like I've had my grandfather revealed that he once pushed my grandma and she broke a bone, and I never knew that until they were like in their late 80s, and that's when the secrets decided to come out. So sometimes the Cazimi conjunct the new moon can bring this kind of like, oh wow. And then the relationship has to evolve and transform and adapt to the new information. I hope it's a good new moon for you guys. For more, visit my website to book a reading, join my predictive astrology course, and take advantage of my early Black Friday sale to save 20% off all products. The coupon code is in the description. If you are a Virgo rising, the new moon is happening in your third house, bringing new beginnings to your everyday life, to your travel, maybe a different route to work. Your schedule might change. The new moon may inspire you to connect with your passions and skills and interests and transform your life to maybe do more healing work and help other people. There may be new beginnings in the lives of the siblings and some maybe new projects that involve siblings and neighbors. Third house is really like people you see, things you do in your everyday life. So you are changing things in that regard. There is an opposition to Uranus in the 9th house, and Uranus in the 9th can either bring shakeups involving education, travel, publishing, faith, and beliefs, or it can bring opportunities in that regard, right? The shakeups might suggest that maybe you work at a school and there is suddenly 3 employees get fired and now you have to do work of a bunch of other people. So the new moon is obviously going to encourage you to rethink how you do things and how you schedule things, right? If suddenly you have that much more work to do, that's going to affect everything. Maybe it's an exciting opportunity to move or to write a book or to travel and maybe study, right? Some kind of like a new opportunity involving education, guiding people, helping people travel might be the reason why you're changing your schedule. The conjunction to Mercury Cazimi, Mercury retrograde and Cazimi could bring important conversations. Mercury is your chart ruler. So there may be some interesting developments, insights into what you want, insights into what your siblings want and how to make things work. Maybe even some kind of insight into how you communicate and maybe the things you say that do not serve you or things you need to say that can help you grow on many levels. There might also be interesting conversations and maybe some type of like revelation, secrets coming to light, shocking truth that come from a sibling where you're like, oh wow, I didn't know this about you, and like, let's see how we can move on from there. Do we grow this relationship or do we set some boundaries? Do we transform? How do we handle it? And yeah, some like travel glitches too. So move slowly, don't rush places. If you're seeking more, book a reading on my website, register for my upcoming predictive astrology course, and take advantage of my Black Friday sale. It is early this year, between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off all of my products. If you are my lovely Libra rising, there's a new moon in your 2nd house of money and values in opposition to Uranus in the 8th house of partners' money, shared finances, debts, loans, taxes, and death and rebirth, right? Intense. So the new moon suggests new beginnings in your values and priorities and your finances. And it may be connected to Uranian shakeups in your partner's life, in their finances, in loans or debts that you need to pay, even maybe some kind of insurance premium going up, or some type of like disruption, either because you're joining forces with other people and your finances change in the process, right? Like getting married will lead to personal finances transforming, or separating will also affect your finances, or your partner quitting their job, right, might make you the breadwinner for the time being. Sorry, I'm like noticing hair. So yeah, so some kind of, you know, some type of like transformation that is happening in your finances and priorities in response to either challenges in the partner's life and debts and loans, or some opportunities. Maybe you win a lottery or your spouse wins a lottery and suddenly you're like, I have so much more money than I have imagined. It's hard to predict with Uranus, right? Uranus's whole shtick is that he's unpredictable. But one thing is for sure, there will be some surprises and disruptions, and the opposition tends to be a bit more of a challenging energy, right? Like it's less exciting. Opposition could be like your partner tells you that, oh, hey, I actually have a debt and I can't go on this trip. Or your child tells you like, you know, I lost this money you gave me to buy a car, so now I can't buy a car. So some type of adjustment. There's also a conjunction to Mercury Cazimi, retrograde Mercury, which again makes me think of some like shocking secrets and revelations and conversations around money. Hopefully the Cazimi has this like introspective energy and it can help you problem solve. And of course, always with the Scorpio energy, focus on inner control and transformation instead of manipulating and controlling other people. It could be a shaky one, especially when it comes to this, like, you know, things are changing in the resources of other people potentially, and you're encouraged to either commit and help or maybe disengage. But it can also, you know, like I said, it can also be maybe some positive development that is creating a good problem in your life where you're like, what do I do with all this money? If you have a ton of money, come join my course and buy all of my candles. Just kidding. But I do have a Black Friday sale. It's early, between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off all of my products, candles, oils, planners, notebooks. The coupon code is in the description. And you can book a reading or join my course on my website. Thank you for being patient with me as I deal with hair distracting me. That Gemini moon, you know, sometimes gets distracted. If you are a Scorpio rising, there's a new moon in your first house of self and identity. So you're starting a new personal chapter. Maybe you're working on your health, you're exercising, you're building better diet and better routines. Maybe you're undertaking a new business initiative, or you are rebranding your website or something like that. Maybe you just got married and you're going to change your last name, and then you need to take care of all the things. There is an opposition to Uranus in the 7th, so the personal changes are somehow connected to disruptions and surprises and breakdowns or breakthroughs in relationships, partnerships, or partner's life. So Uranus in the 7th could be a partner getting a job promotion and being relocated to Alaska, and you're like, oh wow, I guess we're moving to Alaska. Or a partner quitting their job and that being like, okay, I guess I will take a little bit more extra work so we don't feel stressed about the money. Maybe your partner gets pregnant and you're like, oh wow, now I'm going to be a parent. So some type of like breakthroughs, sparkly energy, lightning striking in the house of relationships may affect your sense of self. There's also a conjunction to Mercury retrograde Cazimi at the time of the new moon, and Venus, the ruler of your 7th and 12th houses. So it's a very powerful, like the conversations and the thoughts in your head will be extra potent at this time. And pay attention to like messages and feelings, something that maybe just starts at like a thought that in your head can grow and can be very important in terms of self-understanding, in terms of even like looking at your relationships, right? Like the new moon in the first could be your opportunity to be like, well, this is what's important to me. This is what I would like, right? And let's figure it out. So it's like very closely connected connection there is between you and relationships. And relationships of all kinds. If you're not married or you're not in a romantic relationship, maybe it's your parent, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's your milk delivery guy. If you're seeking more advice, book a reading on my website, register for my predictive astrology course, and take advantage of my early Black Friday sale between November 10th and 16th. Save 20% off of all of my products with the coupon code in the description. If you are a Sagittarius rising, there's a new moon in your 12th house, the house of mental health, spirituality, self-defeating tendencies, escapes and retreats. There is an opposition to Uranus in the 6th, and with Uranus in the 6th, you're either finding new professional opportunities, maybe you're discovering that you want to be a yoga teacher, or you want to be a nutritionist, or you're separating from anything toxic, anything limiting, anything restrictive. And then the new moon in the 12th is offering you new beginnings that involve going far away to study yoga, or traveling to relax, or maybe healing and starting therapy, understanding how your work life and your workload is impacting your mental health is highlighted as well. There is also this empowering and secret revealing and shocking Mercury retrograde Cazimi at the time of the new moon. And so you can be, I feel like at this time, your intuition and your connection to like a shadow realm, spirit realm, signs, and even connection with your body, your wounds, all of that will be extra strong. Pay attention to like the signs you're seeing, the dreams you have, the conversations you're having with people. But it is a great time to prioritize rest and meditation and yoga and therapy, even creative self-expression, because there is a conjunction to Venus. But Mercury rules your house of relationships, right? So it might also reveal things potentially that are happening with the partner and how it's affecting you. Speaking of spiritual techniques, join my course. It begins in March, and you can also book a reading on my website. Take advantage of my Black Friday sale. All of my products are 20% off between November 10th and 16th. The coupon code and the link are down below. If you are a Capricorn rising, there's a new moon in your 11th house, the house of community, allies, alliances, new beginnings and friendships, new dreams, new aspirations. Somehow all of that gets connected to your romantic life and your creative energy and your children, with the opposition between the new moon and Uranus in the 5th house. Uranus in the 5th can bring either like an exciting opportunity or something shocking and frustrating. Like maybe your child gets kicked out of their school, or your child has some kind of, something shocking, surprising happens with them where they have they freak out, they get angry at someone in school. And then the new moon in the 11th suggests that your new dream is connected to being like a school parent, or overseeing, somehow being more involved in the school life. There may be, with a Uranus in the 5th, can also be some type of like romantic realization potentially. Just a sec. So Uranus in the 7th can be connected to romantic realizations, right? Where you may be realizing who you want to date, and maybe it's somebody, maybe it's a friend, maybe you realize that you're in love with your friend, and you have to adjust your romantic, you sort of have to adjust your friendship. So the new moon in the 11th house will be like a new beginning in friendship that is connected to you being in love with a friend. I said it like 5 different ways. But yeah, like the new moon in the 11th represents new dreams, new goals, new alliances, maybe even with becoming a parent or joining, starting a new relationship. Maybe your friendships transform because you're starting to hang out with more couples, or you're, hanging out with more parents, or even your friends now begin to come to you instead of you going out to hang out with them at their places. And the conjunction, the Mercury Cazimi, retrograde Mercury Cazimi at the time of the new moon, can also be very revelatory, very shocking. You can find out something about a friend that maybe you don't like, or a friend can reveal a secret that makes you look at them in a new way. You may discover passions that you have that you haven't addressed. So it could be very eye-opening. and inspiring. Maybe you're using, with Uranus in the 5th, maybe you're telling the stories of your past dating experiences and writing a movie about it. For more, book a reading on my website, register for my predictive astrology course, and take advantage of my early Black Friday sale. It lasts between November 10th and 16th, and you can save 20% with a coupon code down there. 20% off of products. If you are an Aquarius rising, there's a new moon in your 10th house. So new beginnings in career, status, reputation, your public life. You are reaching new heights and following new goals. There is an opposition to Uranus in the 4th, so there may be some shakeups and surprises in your home, family, and living situation. So let's say you get pregnant, right? Or you have a child, and then the career is changing because now you want to spend more time at home. Or you maybe get an opportunity to move because maybe like you get left, your parent buys you a home, right? But it's in a different town, and so you're moving and you're looking for a different job as well. Maybe there is, with Uranus in the 4th in opposition to this new moon, there might also be some kind of important realization about what is comfort and security for you. And so you're adjusting accordingly when it comes to your career. Maybe you're realizing that you want to work less. Or maybe you realize that you don't like your neighbors, so you want to work more, right? What is it? Do let me know. There's also a conjunction to Mercury, and Mercury being retrograde. So Mercury retrograde Cazimi at the time of the new moon, which can also suggest that you're looking back at old job opportunities, at old paths, maybe dealing with some insights, revelations, maybe even something shocking happens at work that you have to navigate. But could be quite empowering. I think, you can trust your intuition with this one and follow your dreams. The ruler is Mars in the 11th, and Mars is ruled by Jupiter in the 6th. So it's very much, I think there are big new developments in your professional life. Maybe you're starting a business. Maybe you're starting to work from home. Maybe your business involves real estate with Uranus in the 4th house. Do share, and if you're seeking more, book a reading on my website. Join my course. Predictive Astrology begins in March. And my Black Friday sale is early, between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off of all products with a coupon code in the description. If you are a beautiful Pisces rising, there's a new moon in your 9th house. So new beginnings will involve travel, moving or relocating, maybe writing, getting inspired to publish your work somehow. There may also be new beginnings in legal matters. If you are dealing with some kind of legal battle, maybe it gets finished, or there's a twist, surprise. A new, or like some kind of data gets unearthed, right? Because there is a Mercury retrograde Cazimi at the time of the new moon. So there may be some type of like shocks and revelations at this time. Philosophical, like questioning and spiritual inquiry is very likely here, because 9th house is the place of expansion, adventure, and journeys, and we don't always journey in a physical, literal way. We sometimes journey through inquiry, right? Like maybe you decide to study astrology. If you do, my predictive course begins in March 2026. Check out my website. But yeah, there's maybe also an insight that you want to go back to school, or you want to learn something new, or you want to discover a little bit more about religion. There is an opposition to Uranus in your 3rd house, and Uranus in the 3rd can lead to breakthroughs in communication, in your mind, in your everyday life. And so then the new moon in the 9th is very much in response to that. Like you realize that you want to live in the woods, and then the new moon in the 9th is like, now you need to rewire everything and figure out how to move and figure out how to make things happen. Or, Uranus in the 3rd gives you an insight that you want to be a teacher. And then the new moon in the 9th is an opportunity to go back to school and to get your education in that regard. And the conjunction to Mercury retrograde, so Mercury Cazimi at the time of this new moon, can also suggest that there is some reflective energy to it. You're looking back, you're questioning things. You're very much in this like period of adjusting your beliefs and questioning a lot of things. Do share if that resonates. Maybe you're gonna write or publish or become an author somehow, or a teacher, or a guru and guide to people. Maybe you become an astrologer. For more, book a reading on my website. You can join my course, which begins in March, as mentioned, and take advantage of my Black Friday sale. It came early between November 10th and 16th. You can save 20% off of all of my products. So thank you for watching. Have a good new moon in Scorpio. Keep your head on your shoulders. Stay grounded. Drink a lot of water. Take hot showers, right? Scorpio likes the heat and passion. Have passionate sex. And I will see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and like and hype. Okay. Okay. Thank you guys. Bye.